Council meeting to order for October 27, 2021. The time now is 6 o'clock. I'll have the prayer led by Councilman Michael Landry and the pledge by Councilman Brown.
Lord, we want to thank you one more time for bringing us here together to do the work of the people of Iberia Parish. We also ask for your prayers for our national, state, and local officials, and hope that we can all do what is right in your eyes and the eyes of our parish. We would ask now to say our Father.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil.
Councilman Brown.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, council members. Madam Clerk, please initiate the roll call.
Tommy Pollard. Here. Michael Landry. Here. John Viator. Here. Lloyd Brown. Here. Warren Goshasan.
Here.
Natalie Broussard.
Here.
Paul Landry. Here. James Trahan. Scott Rossonay. Eugene Olivier. Here. Brian Napier. Here. Lady Fontenette Brown. Marty Trahan. Here. Chad Montreal. Here.
We have 12 members in the quorum. Moving on to public comments. I'll need a motion to go into public comments. Have a motion by Councilmember Tommy Pollard and a second by Councilwoman Broussard. Is there any discussion, members? Hearing none, roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. We're now into public comments. Number one, Madam Clerk.
Comments from the general public on non-agenda items. Mr. Tony Wade to address the council regarding the Iberia Parish Rabies and Animal Control Facility.
Mr. Wade, before you start, just for the record, please state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Tony Wade. My address is 140 Oxford Loop, Franklin, Louisiana.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you. How you doing, Mr. Hi, guys. My name is Tony Wade. I'm an animal cruelty investigator, a post I've held for some 30 years now. I come to you tonight not to start a ruckus or point fingers or anything else, but I'd like to talk to you and address to you about the proposals that's going on for the Iberia Parish rabies. I strongly think that not having a full-time director or manager is not in the best idea for only the public and the animals as well. You know, not only do we have a strong moral responsibility for these animals that are in the shelter, they didn't choose to be there. You know, we have a strong moral responsibility to take care of those, as long as a legal responsibility to take care of those animals. I, along with everybody else in this country, understand budgeting issues right now. The economy's in the dumps. I understand that. I do believe that there are ways that both council and the public can work together to form a stronger bond to help the shelter. One of those things would be to start a commission with 2 or 3 people from the public involved in the shelter, along with a few people from the council or the parish. And we could have regular meetings and discuss issues or things that's going on at the shelter, how to best resolve them from both sides of the fence. I understand that being on the council, you don't have a whole lot of experience in the animal rescue world or the animal laws according to the state of Louisiana and that kind of stuff. That's why I truly believe that a commission would be in the best interest of everybody involved, including the animals and the shelter. That way, persons like me, that's how I make my living, on doing animal control or doing animal seizures and enforcement of laws. I do inspect animal shelters. You know, so I think having a team of persons like me and people from the community, along with your team, meeting on a regular basis and trying to resolve issues before it becomes a public outcry or anything else. Because let's all face it, if you slap somebody in the face, nobody cares about it. You slap an animal, you got 10 million people up in arms about it. Now, and it's just the truth. And I face this situation all the time. Some of the calls I get for investigations are ridiculous. Others are really founded. I think over the years I've had a really good relationship with Iberia Parish, both not only in the animal world, but also in the search and rescue world. I know every storm or anything else we have coming, me and Mr. Larry make contact. We have a lot of resources that we offer for those situations as well. But going back to the animals, you know, I worked with the USDA and Louisiana Brand Commission, Attorney General's office. I worked with all these people doing all these animal cases. And we found in time and time again, instead of having to battle to work things out, We set up a commission, we all sit down and we talk, we can come to a fine line. It's not gonna always be our way, it's not gonna always be your way, but we have to draw a line in the sand somewhere that we can all agree that this is the best approach to this problem and take care of the problem. There are multiple grants out there that this shelter is available to receive. It's just a matter of meeting and saying, okay, well, this is how we need to proceed with it. Try and get a grant for the shelter. It takes a lot of weight off of the parish itself. I don't have a problem trying to work with you guys on those kind of things. Vet care for the animals. If one of the things we see in shelters more often than anything else, if the animals coming in aren't getting the proper vet care, next thing you know, you have a disease outbreak in the shelter. Parvo, distemper, kennel cough, all these different things, and it spreads like wildfire. We just dealt with a shelter where we had to euthanize everything in the shelter. Everything. Clean from top to bottom, suspend all intakes, everything else to get the shelter back where it needed to be, because there was some oversights and these things slipped in, and one animal infected hundreds of animals. So those are the kind of things that I'm really concerned about, without having a day-to-day manager there at the shelter to make sure that, let's face it, I'm not going to talk bad about any employee, but, I myself, if my boss don't get on me every once in a while, I do tend to get a little bit lazy, and it does with anybody else. So I think having someone there every day to run the shelter and manage the employees effectively and to ensure the jobs are getting done, therefore we take a lot less risk on things slipping through the cracks and causing issues at the shelter. Like I said, I don't want to come up in battle with the council or anybody else with the shelter. I've been impressed with the shelter for several years now. It came a long ways over the last few years. 10 years ago, it wasn't a nice place. It has grown to where it's got to be something everybody can be proud of. I don't want to see it to revert back to where it was all these years ago, to where now it's going to be legal trouble because these are going to report this and they're going to report that. You're going to have to answer to this and answer to that one.
Mr. Wade,
the common agreement on this would be for all of us to get together and agree on the same
I hate
thing.
to cut you off, but we do have a 3-minute rule, which
Okay.
kind of let go a little bit. You want to wrap it up? Just
Sure. Again, I'm going to wrap it up just saying I want to work with you guys, not against you guys. Mr. Larry has my contact.
Sure.
And if you want to contact me, would love to sit down with you and say how I feel things would need to go and work hand in hand together to try and make it smooth as it can.
good. Just before you go, council members, is there any questions for Mr. Wade?
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming,
Thank
Mr. Wade.
Thank
Thank you for being here. Members, while we're still on this, on item A, I do have requests that were not turned in a timely by deadline. If there's no objection to hearing the 2 requests is to talk about rabies control, is there any objection allowing that? Hearing none. Again, it's a 3-minute rule. I just, we're flexible. Just stay within the guidelines and we'll be great. Next, we have Ms. Tracy Davenport to speak on agenda item rabies control.
I'm going to go ahead and waive. I spoke on Monday, and I will just second what Mr. Wade said.
Thank you, Ms. Davenport. Also, Marcella Manuel.
Thank you. It's been a long time.
Ms. Manuel, if you can state your name and address for the record, please, before you
Marcella
start.
Manuel, 14514 Louisiana Highway 92, Maurice, Louisiana.
Thank you for being
Bring
here.
that mic so the camera can.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to be, probably won't take 3 minutes. I want to say that much of what Mr. Wade said, I could agree with. I do believe that a commission is formed. You need to include the people who are the ones who pull these dogs out of the facility to rescue them, to adopt them, to get them medically treated, and so on and so forth. So if the commission is formed, which is an excellent idea, please include your community members that are going to be trying to save these dogs' lives and cats. I did go over a proposal that was submitted by Mr. Jones, Mr. Herb Jones. I have, since Monday, I've had an opportunity to speak with numerous shelter managers in South Louisiana. And one of the first things I noticed that really got my attention was the number of employees that would be added. And I think there's quite a bit of redundancy here. I want to make it clear. A full-time shelter manager is an absolute must. Not only do they have administrative duties, they are the ones that typically network with your community, rescues across the country, the Bissell Foundation, things that were lost in this last year. That's an absolute. But you don't need, you have a 60 shelter dog capacity. You don't need 3 animal control officers. You don't need 3 techs, because typically what happens is you have a hard-working manager that's there every day, also cleaning those kennels, also making those calls. Your techs do it. Your animal control officers are not on the road all the time, so they do it too. In most settings that I'm familiar with, there's an exchange amongst all that whatever is needed gets done, period. Doesn't matter if you're the manager, doesn't matter if you're AC officer, which by the way nowadays is called humane animal officers. You need people you need at least one person that can assist that manager. They're gonna have to answer that phone. They're gonna have to take the calls. They're gonna have to relay the calls. They're gonna get a lot of calls from rescues, hopefully. A lot of calls to vets and things like that. So your manager needs to be full-time, but they also need to have a full-time assistant. But you can cut off that 3rd AC officer. You can cut off that 3rd tech, because all these people need to be ready to go to work. And we as volunteers, when we go in there, we wash bowls, we clean up feces, we exercise those dogs. And these are things that need to be done every day, or what you're gonna see is what you have been seeing. Dog goes in looking halfway healthy, comes out a few weeks later, skin and bones. What's going on there? How would anybody do living in a 6x6 or whatever they get anxiety. So by the time we get them out, yes, they're anxious. Yes, they need more vetting than they probably would have originally. They need to be on a good dog food. The cost of dog food has gone up 300 to 400%. But there are dog foods that are specifically designed for shelter dogs because it keeps the fat on them, even when they're anxious and their paws are raw from pacing in the kennels and all the noise and everything else. You need somebody that knows what this is all about, not just in that shelter, but the laws, the responsibility, RS 14102. Everybody associated with a shelter or rescue needs to understand these laws, because shelters are just as responsible for minimum care as your neighbor. Stray hold of only 5 days, I'm sorry, I can't go with that. Because if I go out of town for 2 or 3 days and my neighbor says, I'll watch your dog, Miss Manuel, a thunderstorm comes up, they go to supper, they forget they had let my dog out. How long is it going to take me to realize my dog might be at animal control? Has it been put down by then because 5 days was exceeded while I was on vacation? Okay, we need informed people in this position. But we don't need all these numbers. So we can look at budget, and we can cut some corners somewhere, but we don't want to cut where it matters the most. Thank you.
Before you go, Ms. Manuel, are there any questions, members? We do have a question
Well,
from Councilman
I want to make a statement.
Napier.
What's your name?
Marcella Manuel.
Miss Marcella. Just listening to you, I mean, we sit here just to say, and I know most of the people out there are probably here for this particular item. I mean, we hear what we told by whoever's in charge or by the administration and all, but I could tell in your voice, in Tony's voice, that we need to really look at what's going on over there. I'm a dog lover. I got dogs, I got cats, you know, so I don't, if there's something wrong going on over there, you know, I can't speak for everybody, but I promise you, we're gonna look into that, and you know, hopefully we're gonna do the right thing. So I could tell the passion. I thank you for coming, Tony, for coming, and everybody else. We're not gonna just let you speak and go on to the next item and don't, at least for me, not hit here in my heart. That's a living, breathing animal, and we want them to be taken care of. So thank you for coming. I don't have a question, but I just want to thank you and everybody else that came to try to enlighten us about what's going on over there. So I thank you for that.
I appreciate your comments,
Councilman Napier yields back. Any other council member question or inquiry? Hearing none. Ms. Manuel, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Can we ask for a copy of the last few years of the inspections that have been done?
That would be an administrative function through Mr. Jones or the administration. I'll be happy to get you that phone number or the contact number for the parish president's office.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Manuel. Thank you. Hearing no other non-agenda item requests, moving on to number 2, Madam Clerk.
Persons being considered for appointment to parish boards, commissions to address the council.
Just before we do the A, is there anyone here tonight that wants to address agenda item that did not have a chance to fill out a comment card? Hearing none, we do have Judge Trey Hike to speak on his reapplying of the 16th Judicial District Children and Youth Planning Board.
Correct. Thank you, sir. Good seeing all of you this evening. Thank you for taking me up off the agenda. It's my mistake. I got 2 dates from the clerk to come and address the council. I replied for this date. I didn't get a confirmation, so I wasn't sure, so I just showed up. So thank you. I think it's my 3rd term to be reappointed to the Children and Youth Planning Board. I'm the new Iberia City Judge, so I have juvenile jurisdiction, so I deal with that on a week in and a week out basis. The board, if you don't know, and I see Mr. Shealy here, helps us tremendously with that board. I work closely with Claire Daly with the Family Services Division out of the DA's office. That board gets together on a quarterly basis. We meet with the sheriffs, judges, DA's office, social workers, all the stakeholders, and we just discuss what's working, what's not working, truancy, juvenile detention, all those issues that deal with youth, counseling, and it's a great group of people. I enjoy working with them. So if I can get back on the board, I'll work, once again with Andy Shealy and Claire Daly and get those items on our agenda and deal with them on, like I said, on a quarterly basis. You're always welcome to come to our meetings. They're advertised, and so anyway, it's an honor. I appreciate it.
Members, are there any questions for Judge Hike? Hearing none. Thank you for your service,
Okay,
Mr. Hike.
thank you.
for
Just
being
let me
here.
know if you need to come back. I don't mind.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right.
Also, do we have Ms. Jennifer Dewitt, again, addressing the 16th Judicial District Children and Youth Planning Board? Ms. Brianna Davis? Moving on to the Iberia Parish Communications District, Mr. Darren Bork.
Hello. Hey, my name is Darren Bork. I'm seeking appointment on the 911 Commission Board as a representative for the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Department. I previously served for 3 terms on the commission. I termed out and became eligible again as of a resignation from our other appointee. I'm seeking the reappointment to that, just to continue some of the things that we've been working on for years in the 911 and emergency communications facet.
Are there any questions for Mr. Bork, members? Mr. Trahan is recognized.
I appreciate the years of service you have given us
Thank you.
through the Sheriff's Department. I know you've been there a long time.
Just celebrated my 30th anniversary.
All right, brother. And you still want to go?
Still
Councilman
going.
Trahan, if you can put the mic closer to you, just for the record.
Good. Thank you, Darren.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Mr. Bork, thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you.
Moving on to Ms. Cassie Duhon. I'll need a motion to go back into regular session. Have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard, a second by Councilman Michael Landry. Any discussion, members? Hearing none, roll call. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to reports from finance and administrative actions. Madam Clerk.
Number 1, balance sheet for September 2021 was emailed to council members. Number 2, budget report for September 2021 was emailed to council members.
Moving on to reports from parish or other governmental agencies. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Mr. Mike Tarantino to provide an update on professional economic services provided to the parish, all as authorized by resolution number 2021-27.
Mr. Tarantino, welcome.
Good evening. Thanks again. Sorry, I can move this around just a little bit. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to come give you my quarterly report. This will be the 3rd one I've given, and I always enjoy coming and talking with you about economics in Iberia Parish and to answer any questions that you might have, especially those new council members. We work very closely with the administration day in and day out on a lot of different things, on a whole host of different activities. And but tonight I'm gonna bring you an update on a few projects, but also the state of the parish as far as economic indicators go. What you see over the past 3 months, you can see where Iberia Parish's monthly retail sales are going. This September of 2021, our retail sales were at about 112 million. It's a little lower than August of 2021, but significantly higher than September of 2020. And so, as you look at things, if you can see the graph there on the right, generally speaking, Iberia Parish's monthly retail sales continue to rise exponentially over time, and we continue to hear good things from various governmental agencies about sales tax collections and where those collections are, particularly the school board, who I spoke with the superintendent the other day, and she reported a significant increase in sales tax collection there. Iberia Parish's monthly unemployment rate, of course, you want to see this continue to come down. And the reason why we show August numbers is because we report final numbers, not preliminary or revised numbers. You know, these government agencies come out with numbers and then they revise them and they change them and they estimate. And we report them when they're final. The latest final number we have is from August, which is 7% unemployment, lower continuously over time and significantly lower than the 9.6 that it was this time last year. Continues to come down. There are a number of job positions that are open in Iberia Parish. On any given month, we count between 350 and 450 different jobs that are available for various skill sets. Employers still continue to report looking for workers of various skill sets, and so we're continuing to work to place those folks and get our citizens the best jobs that they can certainly find. Louisiana monthly drilling permits, these are indicators of the health of the oil and gas industry here in Louisiana. As you can tell, it's up and down by the graph, of course. However, since last year, it's continued to rise. Goes up and down a little bit, but continued to rise. So as of July, Louisiana had 55 drilling permits, and remember that drilling permit statistic represents the number of drilling permits issued to drilling companies in Louisiana. The number indicates permits issued for oil and gas wells on land across the state. And so we're significantly higher than this time last year, as the graph can show as well, and we hope that that continues. Those permits usually follow the monthly price of crude. This is the price for Louisiana Sweet, which is a subset of West Texas Intermediate. So many of you may hear about Brent oil prices or WTI oil prices. West Texas Intermediate is the large set. Louisiana Sweet is the subset. As the graph shows, this is the average spot market price at the St. James terminal on the Mississippi River. That's the official spot where Louisiana Sweet is priced. And you can see that those numbers have continued to rise. It shows August numbers there at 68.51, but as those, I checked it this morning and it was at 84. It's continued to rise and continues to rise over time. Many economists predict that it will continue to rise. I'm certain everyone is beginning to see it at the gas pump, those fuel prices, but those continue to rise exponentially, and you'll see those reflected on our next graph when I come back next quarter. But the message here is that oil prices continue to remain strong and continue to rise, and I predict they'll go even higher if we have the kind of winter that we had, the kind of cold winter that we had last year. Louisiana's monthly rig count usually goes along with the price of oil over time. It's not month for month. This is more of a lagging indicator, of course. As prices go up, companies begin to start to invest, and so you can kind of see that this follows along with it as well. This is the number of drilling rigs that are actually operating on land. The other was the permits that you saw. This is the actual monthly rig count. The sister of oil is natural gas, and so these are the natural gas prices as they've come up to you. As you can plainly see, they're continuing to rise. I believe that July, August, September, and October prices are a reflection of what people are hedging for the winter. So as those prices come up, I think folks are expecting it to be a little chilly. And if you look at February of last year, that was where the market was in that one really cold month that we had, where everything, basically the state of Texas, got shut down because of those kind of things. This is the Acadiana Regional Airport monthly operations. We get those reports every month. We actually have October's numbers now, and those are staying in the 7,000 operations as well. They're not reflected here, but significant operation increase at Acadiana Regional. Mr. Sanji, the airport director, tells me that after the storms, there were a lot of oil companies that relocated to Acadiana Regional. Some of them temporarily, but a lot of them are really impressed with what they see at the airport, so we're hoping to keep them here longer. I would say that's going to stay in the upper numbers for the next few months until certain shore batteries come online. Then you can expect it to maybe come down a bit. But I think that the overall message here is that Acadiana Regional Airport monthly operations, with the military coming back and with more operations happening at AVEX and the aviation industry starting to come back online, those operations are beginning to increase. This is the number that the FAA grades ARA by. I think it's the right number, although many airports around the country and grant monies and stuff like that happen to be measured by their enplanements, the number of passengers that they're taking on and off. This is the number that in my mind really matters because this is how much your airport is being used, and so it's a great asset, and we're happy to be able to provide this report to you.
Welcome
This
to
is the
another edition
update
of In
on
Field
the
with
latest
Scott
update on the
Cordell.
airport
It's a
access
beautiful
road.
Friday morning out here in New Iberia, coming from the Acadiana Regional Airport Access Road project. Today I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a review of what we've been doing and our progress moving forward so far. Currently, we are depositing cement onto the ground to stabilize our base course at the roundabout location. Now, in previous editions, I've kind of explained how we treat the base course of a roadway using cement in order to harden it for later addition of either concrete or asphalt. So I'll kind of get you caught up with what's going on. We've also had some drainage that was put in, some of our embankment that's been drying out, and I might be able to include some drone footage for you. So have a good seat and let's enjoy the show. As you may remember from previous editions, when we've talked about cutting cement into the road base, what we do is we calculate by the square yards how many pounds of powdered cement actually will go into a certain area. And today we are putting the cement onto the ground to go ahead and start blending it. When we haul in our raw select material for our road base, it doesn't compact very well. It's basically a sand clay mix. So what we do is we add cement to it and hydrate it with water in order to activate the cement, so that once it's treated and it's cured, we can turn around and put concrete or asphalt and create our road base. And as you can see over here, our transport trucks have kind of rutted up the road base as it is right now, but we're going to fix that. It's going to look like this. This area has already been treated with salt cement, and right now I've got the motor patrol that's going to regrade it, make sure that it's on grade as it's supposed to, get the proper slopes, and then we're going to cover it with curing membrane. So while our stabilizer starts to blend our soil and our cement, and our sheep's foot roller comes back and compacts it, let's get you caught up on where we've been on the project so far. With the use of drone technology, we've been able to fly over the project site to get a better glimpse of exactly how far the project has been progressing. As you can see that we've been able to move forward with our cutting of soil cement. Our embankment is just about up to grade for us to be able to cut lime and in place asphalt. We still have areas that are very wet and we're still processing. Drainage has been almost completely installed with our ditches also cut, all allowing rainwater to be removed from the project site. Along our connector road, our road path has been cleared out. We also have our drainage that's been put in, and we also have our ditches cut here. We're currently waiting to install the last of our drainage along the frontage road so we can have access from the frontage road to our project site. So while we have one crew that's processing cement to stabilize our base course, we have another crew that's working to dry out our embankment so that we can continue hauling borrowed material. As you can see right here, what we're doing is called water blading, which is leveling everything out. In the very far back, I have a compactor that is recompacting the soil that was broken up and tilled to air dry. And I got my dozer that is regrading and cutting some of the relief ditches in case we catch any rain. So the material is a lighter color, meaning that it is drier than it was before and should meet our compaction requirements. Hopefully we'll be able to continue hauling usable borrowed material to continue constructing our road base. So there you have it in a nutshell. The Acadiana Regional Airport Access Road has been progressing forward by hauling in material, processing it, and shaping our road base. And behind us, on the other side, we've also been cutting saw cement so that we can move forward with placing our concrete and asphalt roadways. Looking forward to sending y'all some more videos and updates as it goes. The drone that I've been using is also getting some very good overhead video and photography to go with it, so I hope y'all enjoy that segment that I've added. Thank you very much. It's been another edition of In the Field. Scott Corville. Have an awesome day.
So we, well, of course, thank Fence to Maker for that. You know, they have certain permits where they can do this in airspace when they need to, and so it's those of us that are drone pilots know that it's not easy to get permission to be in that flight path like that. So these guys have a special permit to be able to do that. So I appreciate them doing that. And I know that was a long report, but basically the project is on schedule. There's been a lot of rain. There's been there've been a few little weather delays here and there, but things are going along very well. We've been working with the administration very closely, almost weekly meetings with the construction group, relocating gas lines and lowering gas lines and things like that. So the project is really coming along. And Mr. Richard and I were in some meetings yesterday with some folks from the research center. So we're working on, and I'll be happy to come back and show you some pictures. But just to kind of tip the hat just a little bit, we are working on a potential project that could come to fruition very soon. As you all know, the New Iberia Research Center is a world-class facility that is administered by UL Lafayette. There are major biomedical discoveries that are happening there every day, and they were a major part of the vaccine development for Pfizer for COVID-19. So we've got a lot to be proud of in this community, specifically as it has to do with the research center. Now, everybody knows, it's very quiet. You hear a lot of news coming from the research center publicly, but it's been my goal over the years to do more with the research center, right? To make it more of an economic development engine, to expand it, and to, right now, all of those discoveries then go off to Boston and Massachusetts, other places in Massachusetts and California, where the scientists develop it and manufacture it into drugs. That's where the real quality jobs are. That's where the real salaries, $130,000 a year average salary in the biopharma industry. So I've been working very closely with UL Lafayette on projects, on things that we can do to expand that. And Mr. Richard and I last night went to a presentation that I put on together with UL Lafayette. We're looking at upgrading the labs at the research center to a biosafety level 3, making it one of only a few in the country that can handle that level of research. Because during this COVID-19 research, there was a particular point where they had to bring it to a biosafety level 3 lab in order to continue the study, but they had to transport those primates to San Antonio so we could take advantage of that lab. We want to have that lab here. And so that's going to be an upgrade. We're also looking at building what we're calling the Iberia Bioinnovation Accelerator. It would be a significant facility that would house pharmaceutical companies at Progress Point, complete with lab space and teaching auditoriums. We would also be building, we're talking about 50 to 75,000 square feet. We're also talking right now about the potential of building a pharma manufacturing facility where the drugs would actually be made. So we're in the early stages of that, but that would help us to corner the market here in Iberia Parish, to take drugs from their beginning concept all the way through to the final product. And so road work like this, they're very excited about. The connectivity between the center and Progress Point and its connectivity to the highway. Investments like this really get people's notice, and it's gotten major pharmaceutical companies to say, hey, how about if you guys build those kind of facilities here, we want to come and locate there. So that's just a little small snippet of what we've got going, and we'll see how that project works out, but I wanted to make sure that you knew that. Lastly, wanted to let you all know that IDF is currently working with an organization called Rural LISC, and we're also working with Verizon to bring to the public a brand new tool that's been created by Verizon called the Verizon Small Business Digital Ready Program. This is just a quick flyer that's going to be going around, but it's an online tool that has a lot of different modules that will help businesses recover from storms, recover from COVID. If you're looking to start a business, there are many modules on here put together by experts that will show you how to get your business started, how to find financing for your business. If you want to take your business to the next level, it'll bring all those things to the fore. It gives you marketing tips and financing tips and e-commerce tips, the whole nine. It's a free service. You can see the link in the lower right-hand corner. We're encouraging all Iberia Parish businesses to sign up for this tool. It's free. They will not call you and solicit you. They won't call you and send you junk email to sign up for Verizon or anything like this. This is just a really cool tool. The more you use it, the deeper the details get. So I would hope that you could help us spread the word on getting this great tool out. We want to see as many Iberia Parish businesses as possible get this tool and get the knowledge from it. Yeah, I'll be happy to entertain any questions y'all might have.
I believe the parish president had a statement he wanted to make.
Yes, sir.
More about what Michael was saying in reference to the two centers that we're talking about, that we're working with UL. This is something that we've been doing for, I guess, a couple of years now. None of this come quick. We're looking at trying to come up with $50 million capital outlay. Yesterday, the meeting that we had, oh Lord, a host of senators and state representatives and people from UL. This is a very, very big deal to Iberia Parish. If we can pull this off, it's going to bring a lot of jobs. It's going to be a complete game changer in Iberia Parish as far as diversification for jobs that we have here, higher paying jobs. So this is definitely something that we want to try to work with the university. We're going to continue to work with the university. In fact, I wrote a letter and sent my support. This is something that the Acadiana Planning Commission is also supporting, trying to make sure that we can get the support from the other parishes to make this work. This is a regional effort that if we get it here in Iberia Parish, I'm telling you, you're talking about major salaries. You're talking about $130 average salary.
500 or 600 jobs with an average salary of about
So this is a
130,000.
big deal. We just did a big deal up in on Highway 90. When we got the biofuel company to come here, and we're going to be taking care of that shortly with a ribbon cutting. This is extremely huge. This is very, very big. Something that would bring people here from all over the country. When it gets to that point, we're really going to need your support on that, because this is big. This is not only working with UL, we're going to be collaborating with our hospital that we have here, and it's just a very big thing for Iberia Parish. It would certainly give us some diversification.
It was described as a game changer, I believe.
Total game
wasn't it?
changer.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. I believe Councilman Paul Landry, question?
Yeah, Mike, thank you. I think you're doing a great job. I know the biofuel came, and we kind of fit into good with that, even though we had some competition. And we can see this one here is coming to us because of the monkey farm and all that. And I've seen your list. Can you go over the list maybe for some of the other council members that people come here asking for, maybe some of the investment in jobs? But I think you can tell them some of the things that we don't have, that we should be looking to invest in our property, that takes out one more thing that they say no about.
Right.
And this list was and it was within the last year.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Mr. Landry. I appreciate that. And Mr. Landry and, of course, Mr. Richard both serve on our IDF board, and so we get an opportunity to talk at board meetings about these kinds of things, but I'm happy to bring this information to you today. We always celebrate the victories, but there are many more opportunities that come along throughout a year, and sometimes we fall short. And so I'm happy. We don't always get the information on why we fall short, but this year that information has been very forthcoming, and so I'm happy to share that with you, because I think learning from some of the things that we didn't have, that we didn't quite have, that if we invested in it could put us through the hoop, could maybe get these projects. And so I'm looking at a list here. They're all code named. That's how they end up through the process. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different projects from the list of projects that we worked with last year that we didn't quite make the grade. And so As I look through these are manufacturing and distribution businesses, metallurgical plants. There is a rocket engine and manufacturing and testing facility, aerospace and defense-related manufacturing, advanced materials and chemical manufacturing and distribution. These are all companies that I reached out to or that reached out to me and showed interest in coming to this area. We work very closely with the administration and the council on things that we can on the things that we can do. But here's some of all of these projects, these 9 projects, if we would be able to land them, the total capital investment on those projects would have been $4.5 billion across the board. The number of jobs that they would have created, a little bit higher than 2,816 jobs. The deficiencies, just about all of them have to do with lack of various types of infrastructure. Project Sundance, for instance, most of these they want to be located not necessarily at the airport, but in the airport area out there along Admiral Doyle, Progress Point, because that's really some of them at the Port of Iberia as well. The port has had a lot of great inquiries as well. But so Project Sundance, for instance. There was insufficient water, natural gas, and telecommunications resources. Project Smart. There were no adequate hangars available at the airport that they could have gotten into right away, and they needed to they didn't have time to build it. They needed to get into it quickly. Project Space, which was the rocket engine manufacturing and testing project I was talking about. They needed, see if I could get this number right, 48 million BTUs, 48 MMBTUs of gas at only 5 pounds per square inch pressure. That's a lot of gas, but not a lot of pressure. It would have cost it was not, the capacity and the infrastructure, the natural gas facility was not there. It would have taken a $2.6 million investment to get it there. But that Project Space was a capital investment by the company of $1.6 billion. So I know this sounds like a lot of money, but I think any of us would be happy to spend $2.6 million to get $1.6 billion back in investment. Most of these are insufficient natural gas utility. There are some roadway improvements because a lot of these trucks and a lot of this industry is heavy loads that many of our roads can't handle. So here's another one. Back to that Project Shine, which is a medical device manufacturing. I made a note. They were looking to hire 275, and their average salary was about $52,000 a year. So these are good quality jobs, and we typically have these long checklists of 20 or 30 different things that you have to follow. And I can tell you, Iberia Parish has got it going on. Many of those boxes get checked. Many of those boxes get checked. But the most important ones when you get down to the bottom, involve infrastructure. And so I've been preaching it for many years, and I know many of you have too. We've got to invest in our infrastructure, and here's a clear example of why. There are people that want to come here who can't necessarily get, and we're competing with other communities and other states. But this is just a small example and a small snapshot of the things that I think we as a community should be focused on, because we can get these kinds of projects. They have to be shovel ready, and they have to have the components that I mentioned today.
If we all remember in the very beginning, we went, me, Natalie, and Ricky went down to the port over there, and they had the Caterpillar. And they were loading their engines in Iberia Parish, driving to Houston to be able to test them. And through the council and the state and the port and a number of people, we were able to get that. And that kept them here and really made them happy with us.
That was a
But
significant one.
natural gas at the airport is really bad. I mean, I saw the list, and almost everyone had natural gas. We need to somehow get to some of these gas companies and say, you just can't come to our place and run a full line, because I believe there was one of them that they just said, we don't have any for y'all, we're full, and that's it.
It's not a matter of putting down more pipes. It's a matter of the overall gas capacity. And Mr. Richard and I have met on this many times, and and talked with the gas companies about it. There are water utilities, electric utilities, drainage. All those things are very important to businesses like this.
Mr. Landry, you finished?
That's it.
Councilman Landry yields back. Councilman Napier is recognized.
Mike, fantastic, man. Should make everybody smile, that report. The one thing that, I mean, everything's up, right? And look, as you know, I'm in construction. The thing that does bother a little bit is the unemployment rate. It's at 7%, and I'm telling you, I talk to people in other states, around this state. I travel around the state, and there is work everywhere.
Yeah.
That unemployment rate should be down, at least just me thinking, because there's work, not just in construction, everywhere. So we talking about bringing in, the biofuel thing, all these other things. It's just a concern that, hey, what if we did get our wish list and we got all that? Could we supply the manpower? I mean, some people, and I'm telling you, I've been looking just in my little business, and there's just some people just don't want to work, and it's scary. And I'm talking about young people, people like me and Paul. We on our way out to the pasture, right? Yeah.
in the past.
Oh, we in the pasture. But it's just that is one concern, that we get all that. That is, and it's just a comment. I'm not asking you to give me an answer for it, but I thought that the unemployment rate would be a little lower, but it's not.
Well, I can tell you that the only thing I can offer there, if I could, just one moment, you should probably keep in mind, and I should have mentioned this earlier, that economists say that these days, typically 0.5% of that, or maybe even a full percent of that, depending on where you are, actually reflects people who have been long-term unemployed that have actually dropped off the rolls, right? So there are certain folks that are not back in the workforce and haven't been for an extremely long period. They're reflected, but only about 0.5 to 1% of it. I mentioned in a previous meeting that economists also say that between 4.5% to 5% is typically considered full employment. So that's a very small margin. So you're bringing up a very small razor difference between the two. And so the question that you're bringing up is a really important one. And I think generally speaking, there needs to be some discussion. And I'm not talking about here, and it's not something that we can solve.
Right.
But I'm talking about nationally, about wages, about stimulus dollars and when those things should be pulled back so people will go back into the workforce. But wage levels, quality jobs. I mean, some of these healthcare jobs that we're talking about at the $52,000 or $130,000 a year, I believe those are the kind of jobs that are really pull folks back into the workforce. But it's a national question.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
absolutely.
Thank you, Mike. I
Yes, sir.
appreciate all your effort.
Councilman
This was great.
Napier yields back. Again, I think you answered one of the questions I was going to ask about the unemployment. After 6 months, I mean, a lot of those that are still seeking jobs have been knocked off that roll. So that unemployment could be a lot higher than what we've seen at 7%. So I think that's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
But
Go
let me
ahead.
ask you, on the
Yes, sir.
sales, the retail sales,
Yep.
are we still seeing inflation from a lot of that government dollar still coming down? Child tax credits, a lot of those things coming in. Is that why we still seeing such a inflated number?
I don't necessarily
Post-COVID?
know that the stimulus dollars are still reflected there, but inflation may very well be. Nationally, because of all the things that are going on nationally, prices are coming up across the board. That is going to reflect in retail sales and higher retail sales. And now, how much of that is the case, I'm really not sure.
Hard to tell, yeah.
But it certainly does
So
have an
we can
effect.
contribute a lot of that to within what the city has done inside the city limits of attracting new businesses too.
Absolutely
I mean,
right.
if I read the article correct today, I mean, I think the mayor said 150 new businesses. So, I mean, at some point in time, you have to credit some of those. 'Cause I can tell you, I walk into Rouse's, Hobby Lobby, most of the people shopping aren't from Iberia Parish. I think they're coming from neighboring communities.
They definitely
St. Martinville,
are.
and they coming in, I think the government's creating a hub here, which you can start to see everybody's kind of building off of that. So, yeah, this is very encouraging to see. And you can see the workforce, not as fast as we wanted, but a lot of our skilled laborers have left the state to other states.
Now, we'll tell you, in Iberia Parish, the available workforce numbers have stayed very steady, which is a very positive sign. It means people are not necessarily leaving Iberia Parish
Right.
in that realm and in that particular respect. But, so there are a lot of reasons to be optimistic, but we've got to continue to keep going. And I preach it, but, you know, shopping local, shopping in Iberia Parish is really what sets us apart.
So I think Councilman Rossini, Councilman Landry, Michael Landry had a question.
Yes, sir.
I hear you saying we getting a lot of interest from high-tech companies, biomeds, whatever. Are we working with like the junior colleges, the tech schools and all that to start putting training in the place?
Yes, sir, absolutely. As a matter of fact, Dr. Vincent June is the new chancellor at South Louisiana Community College. We've met with him and his staff on numerous occasions over the last 10 months or so. We're talking with them about creating the potential. So I'm not here to make any announcements today, right? But we're talking about the potential of starting a LPN to RN training program at Iberia Medical Center. We're talking about bringing more healthcare techs into the business directly with Iberia Medical Center, and SLCC is ready to do it. They've also put in an inventory engineering course, right? And originally it was most of it was to be able to train workers to work for Amazon, you know, up in the Karen Crow area. But when that notice came out, there are many Iberia Parish companies who said, no, we need those kind of people. Those are the people that help us manage our inventory and help us buy our parts and do estimating and all of that. So absolutely.
Councilman, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Councilman Landry yields back. Anyone else, members? Councilman Olivier's recognized.
Mr. Richard reminded me that the chamber is going to be holding a breakfast. I don't have the date right in front of me. A breakfast connection, and Dr. June will be coming to introduce himself to the community. So I encourage folks to check that out and interact with Dr. June.
Councilman.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
how do we bridge that gap between the unemployment and available jobs that's out there right now? Businesses are looking for people to work. I've never heard of a job fair in Iberia Parish lately. I mean, there's things that other counties across the country have been doing to try to fill that gap. You know, get businesses with the unemployment, try to
Right.
fill those positions.
We
Do you
have-
any ideas on that?
Yes, sir. Well, we've participated in regional level job fairs. Excuse me. We've participated in regional level job fairs. Frankly, because of the budgets that it takes, IDF doesn't have the kind of budget, you know, to be able to put that together. We would need more resources to make that happen. But we do participate at the regional level, and there are many job fairs at the regional level across a whole host of, you know, there are industrial job fairs for those for workers with disabilities, those that are incarcerated and are coming back into the community. There are a number of different job fairs like that. So those are going on out there right now. To your point about the skill set, though, this is going to take retraining, right, for folks to take advantage of. First, you got to want to work. Right? You got to get people back into the system. Secondly, and it's a national problem. We've got to find new ways to treat drug abuse and those kinds of things. That's the second thing. But the third thing is retraining. The good thing about Iberia Parish is that we're industrial by nature. So we've got a lot of the core skills that it's going to take, and we just need to retrain those folks to be able to match what we're going to do here. I think you're going to see that with Delta Biofuels. There are a lot of machinists that are going to be needed. There are a lot of mechanics that are going to be needed, a lot of metal workers that are going to be needed, but they may need to be trained a little bit differently in order to be able to handle those individual skills. So we all ought to support our school system, our community college system, our tech system, so that we can continue to keep training people for the jobs that are out there
But
today.
to answer his job fair, I do believe Norris International.
Absolutely.
Parker Drilling's had one recently. The community college puts one on annually that brings in local companies, and so does the high schools. I know there's career days that different companies come into our high schools.
The Acadiana Workforce Solutions folks with the WIB board put on one a couple times a year. Lafayette Economic Development Authority puts one on in the Cajun Dome. So there are a number of different ones that we spread the word on as we can.
Councilman Olivier, does that? Councilman Olivier yields back. Anyone else? Mike, if you want to wrap it up.
That's all I had. I wanted to bring you that information too, and also to let you know that it's been my pleasure to work and continue to work with both the council and the administration. There's a lot of good things going on right now. We teased one just a little while ago, and I look forward to bringing those to you. But there are other things on the horizon too that we're working on that I think are really going to be great for the parish, and we appreciate the partnership.
Mike, thanks for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to Public Works reports. Number 1, Madam Clerk.
Public Works Department report for closed work orders dated September 22nd through October 12th, 2021.
Moving on to special business, there is none. Council member announcements. Council members, anyone on announcements? I would like to announce that our next meeting will be November 10th, and the next redistricting meeting with the school board will be November 4th at 6 p.m. If you want to make notes. Hearing no council member. That's going to be at the school board. That's going to be another joint effort with the school board to review the maps.
Where it was last time.
It's the same place as last,
Educational
at the Educational Center off of Lewis Street,
Off Lemaire.
Lemaire Street. Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, moving on to the parish president's announcements. Mr. Reshort?
Yes, sir. I guess I'll start with the litter abatement program. On October the 16th, we went out to Pellerin Street in General and picked up 115 bags of trash. Tires and the whole 9 yards that go along with it on that one street. So it was a lot of work done. So litter is very, very serious in Iberia Parish. If I could, I would like the council in reference to, I know I spoke to Marty and also Warren, council members, in reference to Hazard Road. So I would like to find out whenever we can how we're going to move forward with that particular project. Whatever y'all guys want to do, just make sure y'all let me know what y'all going to want to do on Hazard Road. And the reason I'm saying it because I know it's budget time and y'all going to be looking at it.
We are in negotiations, talking right now, and once something is figured out, it'd be a pleasure to bring it before the council.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Public Works report for the last couple of weeks. Of course, we are definitely short-handed at Public Works. Less people than I would like to see over there. But we did culvert cleaning in District 5, 8, and 10. We had some collapsed culverts in District 9 and District 10. We did debris pickup in District 2, 3, 5, 10, 13, and 14. We did some field drainage work in District 3, roadside drainage work in District 2, 11, and 13. We did some road grading work in District 3, 9, and 14. Road patching work done in District 3, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, and 14. Road repair work done in District 13. We did some signage work in District 2, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. We had a lot of work going on in Public Works for the few people that we have. I'm calling them few. You know, we got it roughly on an average of 15 people working a day. But we got a lot of things that's being done. And of course, at some point in time, we're going to have to figure out how we're going to get additional people there because we can't keep going and everybody. I'm just preaching to the choir. Y'all already know all of that. So we're going to do what we can to try to make that work. Other than that, I'm going to go on and stop this report because it's 7 o'clock and I know we got a lot of things to talk about.
Mr. Reshort, I do have some questions for you and,
Yes,
and a
sir.
comment. When we're talking about road striping, have we developed a system of how we
Exactly.
attacking that?
Actually, I had it on my list to talk about. I didn't, but exactly right. The way it's working is we have identified several roads that we wanted to go and stripe. So I got with Dexter guys, and the problem what's going on, like use Darnell Road, for example. The
Okay.
stripes are gone. It's gone. Completely gone. We don't have anyone in Iberia Parish that's certified as traffic control technician, supervisor, or anything like that. So what I did is I contacted Sellers and Associates last week. They came in and met with Dexter. We're going to have to get a cost from them to at least tell us where we're going to start, because you got to keep in mind, once you put that stripe on the road, you better be right. Because if you're supposed to have a straight line, you better be right. So Sellers is actually coming, I think, when I talked to Mr. Todd Vinson yesterday, he said they were going to come here on Tuesday or whatever and look at the roads that we're going to pick first. I'm going to have to come back to you. It depends on how much money it costs. I'm not asking them to do the job. I'm asking them to give us a starting point and an ending point. The way it works when you're following the MUTCD, there's a starting point and an ending point for every project. So you got to start at that starting point. And you have to end at that ending point. And everything that's supposed to be done in between have to measure up. So we don't have certified people at Public Works. So to answer your question, Warren, we have a plan. Another thing you're going to get at your next council meeting, Sarah is going to come here and she's going to give us a report because we have a lot of roads in Iberia Parish that's going to be striped from the MPO. which is a very good thing. We probably will have 15, 20 roads, major roads, that's going to be striped in Iberia Parish. So you'll get that at the next parish council meeting.
I guess my
We-
question would be is, can we start the process of bringing it to you as far as a work
Absolutely.
order, or should we start doing it through
I
council
think,
resolution?
I don't think it's going to require all of that. I think you can just tell us roads that you would like to see striped. And the reason I'm saying that is because we don't have extra people to do striping. So it's not like something that's getting ready to happen real quick. The way that's going to work is if we know that there's a road, a low traffic area road or whatever, and you had a major rain took place tonight, sun shining in the morning or whatever the case is, it's too wet to cut some grass, we're going to use the people that actually cut grass to do the striping.
Gotcha.
So we have a list ahead of us, and we can do it that way.
So I have a bridge that needs to be striped and addressed, and the reason I'm saying that I think is very important is without those stripes being there, they're pulling up too far, people are having to back up or can't turn in, and I think if the striping's properly, people can get closer to the walls, if you will. You know, it's something about the new bridge, the wall's complete concrete, so you can't see through it, so everyone's so scared to hit the wall, so everybody rides in the middle of the bridge, and then it causes chaos on Lewis with a bus trying to come in or a truck trying to go out. So just wanted to know how we
not
could go
to
about
cut you
that.
off. Something like that, that's not a, I don't think that would be a project that's going to require a whole lot. We can actually schedule that.
Perfect.
We can actually schedule that this road is going to be closed on this particular day. It don't sound like it's something that's going to last, you know, you're going to be striping for 2 and 3 days or whatever the case is, or something like
Gotcha.
that. But this is, again, this is something that we're going to have to be very serious about, because I don't want to put the parish or me or you in some type of liability trying to go stripe a road with no one that's trained to do it.
Good. Second thing I had, I just wanted to make a comment about Waste Connections. Waste Connections is doing a great job. They've come a long ways. I don't know if anybody else that's being reflected in your district, but I can tell you, they're out there, they're vigilant, they're consistent more than what it was. Well, I'll tell you, call it a different drive or not, maybe they just learned my district.
No,
But I just wanted to give a shout out to Jamie and that crew. I thought they've improved a lot.
I think Warren is hitting on something, because what they did, they actually have another manager over Jamie right now that they put. So Jamie is doing a lot of troubleshooting. And another thing for you, I think I have a meeting with Waste Connection next week, if I'm not mistaken. They have new trucks that they're trying to get into Iberia Parish. Next year, the type of trucks that's actually have like a, I don't know, I'm gonna call it a ladder. When they get the can, it's gonna come to the truck, and it hit this ladder or whatever the case is and goes up and dump, so it won't be dumping way over the truck. It's just gonna have a
Which
little.
would reduce the amount.
It's gonna
of
reduce the
debris.
amount of paper that's actually being blown away by wind. But you're right. I get calls, no doubt. I still get calls. I don't get nearly the amount
I
of
agree.
calls. I have one person. I'm not gonna say anything, but Warren know the person. At any rate, I still have people that call me on a regular basis. But please don't say who that person is.
I'm done with that.
Please
Thank you,
don't say
Mr.
that.
Richard. I do believe Councilman Napier did have a question. Councilman?
You almost made me forget it. So, since they're doing a good job, so we can say that they're on schedule for bulky waste then?
Yes.
I think that they are. I really do. I really do. Now, this is what I have been doing.
No, yeah,
Hold
no,
on.
I just
This
wanted.
is what I have
You
been
think they're on schedule, okay, for.
This is what I have been doing.
Okay, I'm sorry, go
Okay,
ahead.
when someone call me and they have something somewhere and they make me aware of it, when I call them, they're
They
gonna
go
knock
do
it
it.
out.
So, but in all actuality,
They shouldn't have a call.
they know the parish, they know, and they should be on every
I
road,
agree with that.
every subdivision, every 2 weeks. That's what
Every 2
and
weeks.
that's what I tell people, and they send me a picture. Well, I've been having this for 3 or 4 weeks.
Unless that pile is not in compliance.
But a lot of people don't
Yeah, but
understand
okay,
that.
so if it's not in compliance,
What?
you should know, right? Don't they send something to
No,
you?
they're not. I
No,
haven't
they
gotten-
mark it with a
They
tag.
may
now.
mark it, but I haven't been getting any tags.
So I thought that they send that
Exactly,
report
but
to you.
If
No?
something is out of compliance, I'm supposed to get it. What I'm trying to
Right.
tell you
Is
is
that
I
you-
haven't gotten anything.
So Waste Connections is not up to.
I can't say that they
Okay.
are. It just depends on where your bulky waste is.
Okay.
And
I
I
got
think
you.
Warren, before Warren got deeply involved into what he's done, is just because you have bulky waste on the side of a road, it may not be in the right of way. it may be
agree.
farther, and then they can't touch that.
I
You know,
agree.
so
Or if it's under a
it's
power
not-
line.
It's gonna be it's not gonna be where they're gonna get some type of, something saying you're not in compliance. It's just totally wrong. That's your garbage, or your debris. You need to pick it up and bring it where,
I got
bring it
you.
closer.
One other thing, I'm just a little concerned. So the striping machine, from what I'm gathering from your comments, is you don't feel comfortable, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Please.
You don't have, sounds like you don't have somebody that can operate that. So
No, we have
are they gonna go through some type, since this
Exactly.
is very important on the roads that we do it right,
Exactly.
because we don't wanna, we've been sued too many times, I surely don't wanna go through that again, but are they gonna go through some type of training
have to.
program before you put a guy on a lawnmower on that?
Exactly.
Okay.
As far as understanding how to use the machine, they understand how to use the
Okay.
machine. No matter if they do become certified as a traffic control technician or supervisor, whatever the
Okay.
case is, they're still not a traffic control engineer. They're still not a project manager. You still need to know, because you have lawyers.
Yeah,
that's
know
gonna
where
be
to
looking-
start, where to stop. I got
Absolutely,
that,
yeah.
but as
So
far
it
as
just
for
depends on
operate-
what it is that they're
Yeah,
doing.
as far as for operating the machine, though, you're
Oh,
not
we-
gonna
they-
just,
they know
yeah,
that.
I got
We
you.
have that.
I'm
It's not a
good,
big
thank
deal.
you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr.
And when you're dealing with areas in the parish, it might be an area, a road, let's say a David Dubois, or something like that, or L. Dubois. Those types of roads, we can handle that. You're not gonna need an engineer to do anything like that. But when you're gonna get onto a road where you got someone traveling 45, 55, 60 miles an
Yeah,
hour, and
man.
you got a no
Oh,
pass
yeah.
on,
No,
you better have it together.
I got you.
Councilman Napier yields back. Any other questions for the parish president? Hearing none, moving on to consent agenda items for public hearing and adoption. Madam Clerk?
Minutes, the regular meeting of October 13th, 2021. Summary number 170, a resolution accepting the resignation of Major Carl Barnett as a member of the Iberia Parish Communications District, representing the New Iberia Police Department, effective immediately. Summary number 171, a resolution of appreciation to Chief Administrative Officer Scott Saunier, who has resigned, for his dedication and service to Iberia Parish. Summary number 172, a resolution of condolences to the family of Mr. Robert Bobby Norris, member of the Iberia Parish Mosquito Abatement District, who passed away on October 9th, 2021. Summary number 173, a resolution accepting the resignation of Mr. Dave Romero as a member of the Acadiana Fairgrounds Commission, effective immediately. Summary number 174, a resolution granting substantial completion to the Iberia Parish Courthouse roof replacement project, all as completed by Frisco Industrial Contractors, LLC, and all as recommended by project architect Gesser Group, APC. Summary number 175, a resolution authorizing the parish president to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement for continued operation of the Iberia Parish Geographical Information System, provide for the effective date thereof, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Paul Landry, second by Councilman Scott Rossini. Is there any discussion, members, on the consent agenda? Hearing none, at this time, anyone would like to remove an item from the consent agenda? I do believe Councilman Napier.
174.
Councilman Napier to remove item number 174. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'll ask, is it okay with the motion in the second to accept the consent agenda item with the exception of 174? Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Back to summary number 174, Madam Clerk.
A resolution granting substantial completion to the Iberia Parish Courthouse roof replacement project, all as completed by Frisco Industrial Contractors, LLC, and all as recommended by project architect Gesser Group, APC.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Have a motion by Councilman Napier. Second by Councilman Paul Landry. Councilman Napier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Richard, I just wanted, I know doing this construction with the roof up there, and I thought, and I know we added some, are they saying we saying now that they just about complete up there?
Yeah.
Because my thing is, I've heard around in the DA's office, and I think the judges, they were still having some, and maybe Andy can, maybe,
Three areas.
that we, so before I would vote to go forward with this, did we stop all the leaks up there?
Right
Thank
now.
you.
Okay, in the jail, there was an area in the jail, where the old jail was per se,
Right.
that was leaking. That's actually taken care of. There was a closet area in the closet in the court administration area that had a leak. That's taken care of. In the secretarial areas in Bodua's office where the secretaries are, there's an area that still actually, we identified that with the rain that we had today, that it wasn't all the way, we're not exactly sure, we think it's coming from the air condition, so you're not exactly sure if the way the wind is blowing is coming down with the air conditioning deal, but we spoke to Gerald Gesser today, in fact, because I was actually pulling it. I had already decided to pull it when they called and told me that. But speaking to Mr. Gesser, you have 45 days or whatever the case is for them to actually address this here and get it taken care of. So they feel that they're going to get this taken care of. I haven't paid them, not going to pay them until we actually get everything taken care of. But if they can do it in 45 days, it make no sense for us to stop there.
Well, so here's my deal, yeah, so if you telling me, because I will not vote to pay them until that's
It's completely
complete.
done. And if you want me to, I can tell you right now when it's going to be complete. I can come and give it to you during Parish President's report. I'm not paying them until it's
Because
done.
I've seen this, I'm not saying nothing about this contractor, but I've seen it
Oh,
happen
absolutely.
before, especially
it
in
happen at my
government
house.
stuff. It's happened at your house.
Exactly.
I'm glad I wasn't a contractor.
You wasn't on that.
So, that's one concern I have, that because I know they've been having trouble for a very long time up there, and we spent all this money, we added money. This needs to be completely, so when you tell me it's air conditioning, that's possible, in my opinion. But was it leaking before? Did it leak today? And it didn't, if it's the air conditioning, it'll leak.
It leaked before.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but what I'm saying is, if it's leaking today in all that rain, don't blame it on the air conditioning.
Listen,
to
we're
me,
on the
that's-
same page.
Yeah,
We're on the
okay.
same page
All
with
right.
this here. And that's exactly what I said. Mike, you can maybe come up and give a little better descriptive as to what's going on, but until you get here, what I know that they did is what a case is per se. They actually went off from the surface and they went up, 8, 10 inches, whatever the case, to try to make sure that you have no leaking there. But I'm just like you. Until something is done, it's not done. And I don't,
Correct.
I don't have a problem doing this here, but you're not getting paid until it's done.
So are they asking for any money with this,
Right,
deal that
right.
we doing tonight?
The way it would work, we would, if it's substantial completion, we would pay them.
How much?
But, I don't remember what it
We
was.
would hold some back, right?
That's exactly right.
The project by definition is substantially complete.
Completed.
So
Right.
that's what this resolution is, accepting it as substantially complete. Upon y'all passing of the resolution, that then gets recorded with the clerk's office, and then a 45-day lien period begins.
Right.
That allows for subs, any claims that liens against the project could be. But by definition, the project is substantially complete. Just to let you know, I was in communication with the contractor shortly before this meeting, and they plan to be here in the morning to investigate the leak, to make a determination, if it's HVAC or if it's actual the roof leak, so.
So just one thought, is that when they do, I'm just I guess it would be the one, but, that, because we put in a lot of money to get that, I don't want to see a patch over I don't know
You
what
want it repaired. You want it just like I want it. You
I want it done.
Exactly.
Correct. I mean, so whatever that takes, I hope that somebody,
Well-
y'all and guess, are on them about, don't just put a little
We
patch
want
right
it
here to
done.
try
We
to
want
make
it taken
this
care of.
right.
And we also want the warranty.
Correct.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
We actually are in receipt of the warranty paperwork already, so.
Councilman Napier yields back, just before we go forward. Andy, we've done this several times. There's normally a punch list that's still left of
Yes.
things that they need to do, and we do retain some money before we pay completely, correct?
Yeah, because this project is, in all these public works contracts, if the amounts are less than $500,000, you have a 10% retainage.
Correct.
If it's more than $500,000, you have a 5% retainage. And that will be retained, and punch list items, any little other things like that can be taken care of out of that. That's our way to make
Right.
sure that they do those kind of things
Right.
that they need to do.
And Mr. Gesser would go back behind them with that punch list.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that final payment will be dependent upon the final pay invoice.
Does it come back to us at all, or this
No,
is it?
this is
It
it.
normally don't.
So we put it in your hands?
Yeah, you put it in my hands.
Again,
But if you want me to,
Well, I just
Cindy-
want to make sure it's done right.
yeah.
if
we
the
want-
council member
believe me, we
wanted to,
want it done
he
right.
can make a contingency on this, but I mean, there was no reason why if we've got
No, I
a
mean,
punch
if-
list.
If you trust
did it- we did it
the
on every
contractor
project.
that they're going to do it right, I just
Every
want to make
project.
sure it's done right with all the money we spend and all that.
Exactly.
Okay, Councilman Paul Landry was the second. Is there any discussion on that? Mr. Landry waives. Anyone else on discussion? Hearing none. Roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to ordinances introduced for public hearing and adoption, there is none. Moving on to resolutions introduced for public hearing and adoption, summary number 176, introduced by the Acadiana Fairgrounds Commission. Madam Clerk.
A resolution amending the 2021 Acadiana Fairgrounds Commission in the amount of fund budget, that should be actually, in the amount of $3,400 to appropriate additional funding needed to purchase another truckload of shavings and recognize additional revenues of the same amount from the sale of shavings to customers, all to be funded from the farm supplies line item.
Do I have a motion? Have a motion by Councilman Paul Landry, second by Councilwoman Broussard. Councilman Landry? Councilwoman Broussard?
Wait.
Any discussion, members? Hearing none, roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to summary number 177, introduced by Brian P. Napier of District 11. Madam Clerk.
A resolution requesting the administration to budget or commit the sum of $1,365,627.50 in American Rescue Plan Act funding or other appropriate funding sources to be used as the local match for the water sector program projects currently being sought by Iberia Parish Sewer District Number 1, providing for the effective date thereof and otherwise providing with respect thereto.
I have a motion by Councilman Napier, second by Councilman Paul Landry. Can I get a unanimous second?
Yes.
Unanimous second on the floor by Councilman Landry. Any objection to that? Any discussion? Parish President?
Yes, if I can. Of course, I hope this passed, but
We got a unanimous second.
you got it, perfect. If I can, I had a meeting, I guess it was Monday, with Paul and Natalie, I think Eugene, Marty, and we were talking about the funds from the ARPA funds. And the meeting that they had, I had a meeting prior to that with U.S. Treasurer NACO and Eugene. Eugene was in that meeting. And we found out some interesting things at that particular meeting. Of course, it seemed like every time you have a meeting, something different is going on with these dollars. At that meeting, it was stated that we can actually receive up to $10 million into lost revenue. Kim helped me out when I make a mistake here, but that was discussed in that meeting. Up to $10 million in lost revenue. And that was never ever stated before, and that's a big deal, because that's mean if you can receive that $10 million in lost revenue, we can possibly do projects that we never ever thought that we could do. So I'm very, very glad we did it this way. So my recommendation to Paul and Natalie, and hopefully they already talked to all of you guys from the meeting that we had, but my recommendations to them was to take that money and,
No, go ahead.
to take that money and try to use the 1.7 roughly that we're talking about with the water project at Coto, which is going to end up being a $6 million project. Roughly the $1.4 million that we're just doing right here, Brian, that's going to bring in a $5+ million project. We're going to take, we're not exactly sure because we don't have all of the information back yet for broadband, but put aside $1.5 million for broadband. We may use it, we may not use it. We, of course, been looking at an evacuation center in Iberia, put 2.5 away for that particular project. But if everything works out, and of course, it still have to be approved by Congress, Senate already passed this here, we have $5 million that we possibly can take to do a road project in Iberia Parish. To me, that would be a very, very big deal in Iberia Parish if we can take that $5 million and do some kind of road project. That's what they said this past Monday.
Has to pass Congress.
But it has to pass Congress. That would be awesome. Now, we do have a road priority list that we have, that we did, I guess, our second year that was in office or whatever.
I just want to keep to the main motion tonight of something I know will pass tonight.
Okay.
We can have that
I wanted
discussion.
to pass it on to you guys.
Yeah,
So now
I appreciate
y'all know
that.
my plan. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Mr.
Now you know
Rushore.
my plan.
We had a unanimous second on the floor. I don't think there was any other discussion, was there? Hearing none. Brenda says by bylaws, we have to vote. Roll call, members. Let's see. Any nays? Hear none. I heard a nay in the back. That motion passes unanimously. Moving on to summary number 178, introduced by the parish president. Madam Clerk.
A resolution approving the parish president's appointment of the position of interim chief administrative officer and further approving the president's established salary for said position, all in accordance with section 4-01 A and B of the Iberia Parish Home Rule Charter.
Do I have a motion? I have a motion by Councilman Paul Landry and second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Paul Landry? Councilman Landry waves. Councilman Michael Landry? Councilman Michael Landry waves. Members on discussion? 1 second. On discussion, members. Anyone? Parish President?
Okay, I want to try to explain to you guys what I'm trying to do here. This is a little bit different than what I did when I first got elected parish president. When I got elected parish president, I actually got a full-time person to come in as my CAO. What I'm looking to do right here is get an interim CEO and save annually $86,000 a year. With that $86,000, what I could do is hire 2 part-time employees. As we know, when we got here in 2016, we didn't have a whole lot of projects going on. But we have a lot of projects going on right now. And what I would like to do with that $86,000 that we're going to avoid, and I'll get at it, the $86,000 come from $66,700 from the salary, $18,000 for family medical, $1,600 for dental, and that's equal up being $86,303. So if we can do this here, I can actually hire someone part-time to work as a project coordinator, working on current projects, pending projects that we have, work with our grant person, and try to keep us up to date with what's going on. We're getting more and more projects here. It's getting harder and harder for me to just remember. It's just a lot of work. We are so far from where we were in 2016, it's just not even funny. And at the same time, we can hire someone to work in purchasing while the person that I'm recommending actually be the interim CAO, work in purchasing to do some work. The problem with purchasing is that we're dealing with so many state, local, and federal laws. We have to know we have to be very, very careful, because I don't want to get in the bind. I'll be straight up honest with you. And if this don't pass, and I keep my purchasing guy in purchasing, I'm going to have to hire a full-time CAO, which means I won't have any money to hire 2 part-time employees. So this is the reason I'm presenting what I'm presenting right now. That's it.
Okay, hearing that, I believe there was discussion by Councilwoman Broussard.
Yes, I don't necessarily have a problem with your plan, Mr. Richard, but I know that we have to look down the line in the future. Doing all this as an interim basis, we have to protect the budget, and we have to make sure that we have the money in the budget when we have to hire the full-time CAO and purchasing agent. You know, we've heard for 5 years that Michael Broussard is the only person in purchasing, that he's having to do all of purchasing for the entire parish, that he's overwhelmed and we need to get help for him. So I have a lot of concern I know what Scott went through, and having to go in and be the interim director for planning and zoning and cover all those gaps that we have. For us to say long-term commit to the budget that we're going to make this one position, I don't see it feasible. I don't think that we can give one person a $20,000 raise to combine two jobs to save that money to hire two part-time people when we all know that we're gonna have to go back to having a full-time CAO and a full-time purchasing agent. I wouldn't have a problem doing this on a part-time basis, but we can't, I mean, we have asked employees all over our parish to do a lot more work for less money. We hear all the time that we had 60-something employees in Public Works, and we're down to, what you said tonight, 15 people working?
On a regular basis, yes.
And so those 15 people are doing the job of 60-something people.
That's exactly right.
But we didn't give them these huge raises.
Yeah.
So I have, you know, when I asked you, you told me that you were going to be giving Mr. Broussard the salary that Mr. Saunier was getting as CAO. I think that's appropriate. But I cannot support giving an employee a $20,000 raise when we have put so much on other employees without giving them anything.
Okay, I understand, and I'm saying exactly where you're coming from. What I'm simply trying to do is present to you a way for me to hire 2 additional people to do some work in Iberia Parish that need to be done. Speaking of what employees are making, your director at the airport right now.
Whoa.
No,
Mr.
I'm
Richard.
trying to explain.
No, I
where we're
get
at.
what you're saying. Just before we go any further, that I want to know the rules before we do that first.
Okay.
Tonight's deal is not creating any positions. Tonight's deal is to fund an additional workload for Mr. Broussard. Is that correct?
You're not increasing, you're not adding any new positions. What you're doing right now is what I'm trying to do right now. And listen, I can say, go back, Mike, and do what you're doing.
No,
And
I just
let me-
want the
but
council
you're gonna have
to,
let-
hold on, I
okay.
just want the council to understand tonight that this resolution here is it just an up or down vote, or this?
That's all it is.
Okay, it's up
That's
or
all
down
it
vote,
is.
but at the same time, this does not create a new position.
No, sir.
You use raise, I think that's an adjustment, correct? Because he's taking on additional duties.
That's all
Am
it
I
is.
out
That's
of
all
line?
it
I
is.
just
That's
want to make
all it
sure
is. That's all
that
it is.
I'm understanding it correctly, okay?
That's right. That's all it is.
All right, Ms. Broussard, I'm not saying that you were wrong, I'm just, the work, and everybody's gotten a work adjustment. The less employees, someone's got to do that job.
Exactly.
Okay, if you want to go, but just try to be germane on this deal,
I'm
Mr.
good.
Richard.
I'm good.
You sure?
I'm good.
I mean, the resolution that's on the agenda is to appoint interim chief administrative officer. I mean, our chief administrative officer was making $88,000
Correct.
a year. Mr. Broussard is currently making $79,000 a year.
Right.
The proposal is to put him as interim chief administrative officer at $99,000
Right.
a year. I mean, I could support going to what our chief administrative officer was making, but I can't support going
Okay.
to the 99,000. And your argument of, if I do this, I can create 2 more positions. Well, if you put him at what Mr. Saunier was making at 88,000, that gives you another $10,000 in the budget to create these other 2 positions.
So if I put him as an interim with what Mr. Saunier was saying, just interim at that particular salary.
Correct. And
So
then when
who's
we
gonna do
figure
procurement?
out what we're gonna do across the board, then we can come back and make whatever adjustments
Okay,
need to be
that's
made.
good. Okay, I'm not even,
So-
okay, I think you know what my plan is.
Hold on, before we go to that, Andy, I have a question too. So, let's say tonight, this is approved. In order for him to create those 2 positions, he's got to come before council anyways, correct?
Part-time positions. The money would be in the budget, Warren.
So well, that's what I'm asking. So, again, the conversation you and I had,
I
we
would
talked
come
about
back.
2 years. So
That's
what
right.
happens down the road with those 2 employees when you go to fulfill the CAO position is my question.
Right.
What happens to those 2 employees?
You would have to, we'll have to budget it every year, of course.
We're adding 2 new positions.
Can you answer that about,
But you're not spending any extra dollars, Natalie. You got 2 more employees coming in, Natalie. You're
With all
correct.
due respect, though, when we have to go back and get our final CEO and our purchasing
But it's
agent.
part-time employees. They're not full-time employees. You can tell a part-time employee at any time, they're no longer working here. They're part-time
You
employees.
can, but I mean, that's not what
My thing
historically
is,
has been done.
this is it. My thing is simply to try to get this fourth floor to be able to work and be competent and handle what it is. We just have, I shouldn't use the word competent. We have so much work going on here. We need some additional people. So I took this as being a way for me to get someone to do the CAO job and also use the dollars that we have in that position to hire 2 people.
And
That's it.
and the two
That's it
people,
in
one a
nutshell.
project manager and the second one would be,
Like a procurement assistant.
And if you only gave him
That's it.
the amount of pay
So
that we were
that's
paying
that's
our
my that's the
former,
proposal. And if you guys
you'd
don't
still
want it,
have
that's
more
it.
money for.
did you want to answer that about the part-time deal, about creating the position? I know you were coming up, I apologize, I think I cut you off, Andy. And
You know, it depends upon what you have in your budget. If you have money for that position and you choose to use part-time people to fill those positions, and it's in the budget, you could do that. If your part-time positions exceeded what you had in your budget, you certainly would have to come back and have
That's a
have
difference.
some
Good.
type of amendment to that budget.
So the answer is no.
Okay. Councilwoman, will you finish?
Yes.
Councilman Napier on discussion?
So I'm trying to follow this. A couple of things. So Michael was okay with, I talked to him today, so I know he was, but I'm asking you. So the $10,000 is gonna, say we don't do the 99, we do the 88. So he won't do it for 88? Because look, like Natalie said, Scott did, when Mr. Raines passed away and or whatever, he did a couple things. Everybody's doing a couple things. So it's either the 99 or he goes back to procurement.
That's it.
Okay, well, you answered one of my questions. So if that's the case, leave him in procurement and get your CAO. And you don't, and we have that budgeted, right?
Correct.
So if he don't want to do that, get your CAO, and we don't need no part-time people. I mean, it's just, I'm trying to understand is everything up and above on the table here? I mean, I'm kind of like, I don't understand.
What do you mean up and above?
Well, I mean, so I talked to Michael. He was good. I asked him if he could do it.
Where's my?
Yeah,
No,
Mike-
no, I'm talking.
Mike,
I'm
did you want an
really-
opportunity to come up and address the council?
I mean, if necessary, I'm prepared to answer any questions.
Would you please come to the mic, please? Okay, Mr.
Okay,
Napier,
so
he's-
I didn't mean to talk about you in the third sentence there, because you and I spoke. I was concerned that was it too much? To do purchasing, to do the CAO job. You told me. I mean, we didn't discuss money. I didn't know. I mean, this doesn't. The resolution doesn't say anything about money. So I thought you were going in at Scott's deal. So the 10,000 is I hate to throw money out here, but that's what we're talking about. So if you don't get the 99, you don't feel that you need. I mean, you feel like you need to get paid that to do both jobs, or you just go back to procurement. Are we putting words in your mouth, or is that what it is?
First of all, let me just say a few things. I respect your question. I'm not in a position to answer that question right now, so
Okay.
I won't answer that question.
Okay.
But relative to the responsibilities, I'll kind of repeat what I said before. I'm a 13-year employee, and I'm not treating this as a job interview. I'm just restating what I've already said. I'm intimately knowledgeable about the parish. When Larry approached me about the opportunity, it was numerous discussions that we had, and it wasn't a decision that I took lightly. and it became apparent to me that it was something I would be interested, only because I think I could have a positive impact for the benefit of the parish. So that was the thought process there. Also, the responsibility that I hold as purchasing officer, I'm not certain that all know that the responsibilities go well beyond the formal job description, and I've been fulfilling those duties even prior to this administration. So I just want to make that clear. Some of y'all may know that, may not know that. I do much more than purchasing, much more than what the job description entails. So I feel that I told Larry and I spoke, I feel that I've gotten the function operating in an efficient manner that will ultimately enable me to assume that role in an effective manner. So that's basically all that was discussed and considered when the decision was made for me to agree to the offer.
So, and if I'm getting too deep, tell me to shut up. But whose idea was it, the 10,000? Yours? Yours, Mike? You said that's what you needed? Oh, if you don't want to talk salary, I got it. I shouldn't have asked that.
So the logic that I don't want to put the words in Larry's mouth, but the methodology that was used was recently when mosquito control took over animal shelter. That was the calculation that was used.
Oh, I got it.
So
That
it
makes
wasn't
sense.
a number that was just grabbed out there.
No, I got it.
So there
got you.
was
That
a
makes
thought
sense.
process behind it.
I see how you got that. Okay.
And simply just trying to figure out.
And look, and I'm gonna end it here. And look, you deserve every bit of it. There's no doubt, no doubt. But again, Natalie made a good point. You know, we know what Scott did. Of course, Scott's gone. So, but he did a couple things. And listen, since we've been here, I've had people that I know that work for parish government. That's, you know, I don't know, we may be giving them a raise a couple times in our 6 years here. Once? Oh, God, I thought it was more than that. I feel even worse now.
That's right.
But, you know, those people that are making 30 and 40, you know,
And I agree with
you
you,
know,
Brian.
to me, if we're gonna give anybody more money this year, those are the people that deserve it. Not somebody making 80, doesn't mean anything with you, but 80, 70, 80, 90, those guys that are, and ladies that are making that small amount, to me, that's
Listen,
where I wanna put the money.
Everything that you're saying, I hear everything that you're saying. I hear everything that Natalie is saying. I guess the situation that I'm in, for me to hire a CAO that's gonna come to Iberia Parish, we have 2 years left in this term. So you know what kind of person I'm going after. I'm going after someone that I think will have the capacity to do what it is that we need to get done in Iberia Parish.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in saying that, that's mean I'm gonna have to sell someone to leave their job. Because they have a job. They won't be one of these people that's gonna be unemployed. I've been making these phone calls. And for me to tell them they have a job for 2 years, because I have to run for office in 2 years, I hope I win. But suppose I don't win. And I just got a guy that's more than likely gonna take a pay cut to come here. It's not gonna be that easy. And not only that, Brian, when we got here in 2016, we all had a learning curve. I did, Scott did. It took us a year and a half to figure this stuff out.
Absolutely.
So where we are right now, what I was simply trying to do, where we are right now, is get someone that I know have the capacity to come and step up and get this job done where we won't miss we won't miss a beat. And at the same time, try to use those dollars from the position, because you got to keep in mind, if I would hire him as a full-time CAO right now, and I have to go out and hire me a purchasing agent, I got to come up with the same amount of money for the purchasing
yeah.
agent that I'm paying him. I would pay him the exact same amount of money I'm paying Scott.
Right.
But the problem is, I'm gonna have to hire someone in purchasing now that don't have a clue what's going on. So someone's gonna have to do that job.
No,
And now,
I
so
hear
he's
you.
gonna be the CAO, So whoever you hire don't have a clue how to deal with your state, local, federal deals, money, so I got another problem. So it was simply a way for me to figure out how to get these 2 years out. I've already, and try to hire someone on a part-time basis to help in purchasing, try to hire someone on a part-time basis to try to help us with the projects. And listen, as long as the council get it, as long as you understand, if this don't work, Michael, hopefully he'll go back and do what he's doing in procurement, and I'm gonna hire someone, but we still don't have enough people on this fourth floor to get done what we need to get done, and that's
Oh,
it.
look, I hear you.
That's
you know.
it. So I don't need to keep talking about that one. That was my
I'm
rationale.
good, thank you, Mr.
Councilman
Chairman.
Napier
Thank you,
yields
Mike.
back.
I
Councilman
appreciate
Rossini
it.
is recognized.
That was my concern, that we don't have the CAO right now. So from a continuity of government, not saying it's falling apart by any means, but you do need somebody in that position. We do have a capable person involved right here, obviously. You do want to have your succession plan usually built from inside. And then you use him to leverage the training needs. So this one, I'm pretty much on board with, because we could crash, and I'm not by any means, saying this is detrimental to the parish, but it could go south quick, so.
You good with the 99?
Councilman Rossini yields back. Councilman Michael Landry is recognized.
Just a question to Larry and Andy. If by any means you would promote Mike to a permanent CAO and hire purchasing agent, would he fall in at the salary of 86, or would he continue with that 99?
Oh, no, he would go back to whatever the
Okay, that's all.
Okay, Councilman Landry yields back. Anyone else on discussion? Councilman Olivier.
Just a comment, I'll support this resolution as well, but the two part-time people you plan on hiring, Larry, how many times I go to you with a funding source from federal government, somebody? All the time. It's hard keeping track of all these funding sources. And these two part-time people can help them out a whole lot, keeping track of these funding, to get us more money locally in the parish, to get more things done. Thank you.
Councilman Olivier yields back. Councilman Viator is recognized.
My concern is the same thing Mike said about if his salary goes back to the 88,000.
Yes.
Because then you have those two guys, so you won't have the budget for the two part-time people.
That's right.
So in 2 years, we're pretty much letting him go.
Or something would change and
Unless
you.
something
Right.
happens, that we can do that.
Right,
And
and
my
you-
concern was, once you set a precedent at 99,000,
Oh, no.
that it
Oh,
came
no.
back down to 88,000.
Oh, absolutely. And
And
that's already known.
we're not even in budget, even without the two part-time people.
And that's already a known fact. If, 2 years from now, hopefully I win, and if I would appoint, which that would be the deal, Michael to be the CAO, his salary would be the price, so his salary would be the CAO's price.
CAO price.
Right. That's it. Andy?
Andy, go ahead.
I think what maybe has not been said that needs to be considered is, I believe part of the purpose for the part-time positions were to begin training them for that. Let's say Michael stays on and it's too much. Well, you've had time to train somebody. You start them off as part-time, you're training them to be the purchasing. So it's also a training mechanism for finding future people to replace those. So I just didn't want to miss the training part of it. It was also a possibility.
Okay. Anyone else in discussion? Councilwoman Broussard?
I just want to follow up and say, again, I don't have a problem necessarily with the plan. I understand putting Mike Broussard into that position. I understand getting the two part-timers. That's not my problem. My problem is the jump in income, or the jump in the raise. I think it's a slap in the face to every other parish employee that we've asked to go and do somebody else's job, and we didn't do the same thing for them. Bringing him up to the 88,000 and giving him a $10,000 raise, I think is fair. going all the way to a $20,000 raise when we didn't pay anybody else anything extra, I think we're just slapping our other employees in the face. That's all I have.
The councilwoman yields back. Anyone else?
Isn't the same thing being done with HERF for mosquitoes and rabies? He's filling in 2 positions to where it free up some money to bring in a manager and not be paying a director? Well, but that's a theory, correct?
But that,
No, you're right.
But that's what I'm asking. I'm just
just to
trying
clarify on that was a decision made within the administration that didn't have to come before council, which I don't think this had to come before council either.
It really didn't.
Did it? For interim?
So why it's here?
Oh, okay. I stand correct. I'm sorry, sir?
Why it's here if it didn't have to come?
No, it gotta get ratified.
I could be wrong. Brenda's telling me it did have to have ratification. I apologize for the misinformation. Councilman Macho, you
Yeah, I'm
finished?
good, I'm good.
Anyone else on the floor?
Can we break for 5 minutes?
Sure, there's a motion on the floor to break for 5 minutes. Do I have a second? Well, wait, before you, well, I have a second by Councilwoman Broussard already. Motion to break for 5 minutes by Councilman Napier, second by Councilwoman Broussard. Roll call, members. Is everyone in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Nay. Okay, we have 10 votes in favor. I'm sorry, 9 votes in favor, 3 votes against. The 3 in opposition is Michael Landry, Lloyd Brown, and Eugene Olivier. The rest are 4. We are breaking for 5 minutes. We're back from that 5-minute break here. I'll need a motion to go back from break. I have a motion by Councilman Landry, second by, I'm gonna take Mr. Polly. He's been quiet tonight. Is there any discussion? Roll call. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? We're coming back to order. That motion carries unanimously. At this time, we are still addressing summary number 178, introduced by the parish president. Madam Clerk, who was my motion and second on that?
Paul Landry and Michael Landry.
Okay, Paul Landry, Michael Landry. Does the parish president offer anything on the ground right now on the floor for the motion?
After consideration, not the number that's being discussed right now for the actual salary of this temporary interim CAO position is $92,500.
Okay, there is, the parish president's offered a new, I guess, deal, if you will, for $92,500. I'll open the floor for discussion on that, just because there's been a change in the offering. Is there any discussion on the change? There's a discussion on the floor by Councilman Napier, then I'll go to Councilman Landry. Councilman Napier?
He was the,
Yeah, well, we had already opened.
okay, so I'm gonna just make a comment. Michael is worth more, to do those 2 jobs, in my opinion, he's worth more than the original 99. That, no doubt in my mind. You know, I've worked with him, but there's other things at stake here, for me, anyway. You know, when I look at everybody else, we got people sitting in the audience that work for us. You know, what are we gonna tell them? You know, what about the people at Public Works that's doing all that work? I worry about that. With my vote, what am I setting a precedent for? You know, and I mentioned it before. Look, it's nothing against Michael. I think he's worth more. I'm gonna stick to my guns. It's not about Michael. It's nothing against the administration, but I'm sticking to 88, and because there are more people than just this one position that need more money, and that's where I'm at. Nothing against you, Michael, at all. Please don't take it that way. I support you being in that position. I can't, in good conscience, vote for anything more than what Scott was making.
I respect that, Councilman Napier.
Thank you.
Councilman Napier yields back. Councilman Michael Landry is recognized. I'm gonna hold that question just for a second, Mike, just to give a little more discussion, and then I'll ask for the question on vote. Anyone else on discussion? Councilwoman Broussard.
Mr. Shealy, there was some discussion earlier about if the approval was done at a higher rate than the 88, if when he became permanent CAO, if that money would go back. Is it legal to take that money back and to cut that pay?
If it's offered, it's a new,
Yeah,
it's
because
a
I
new
think
term.
what y'all,
It's a new term.
I think what you have to keep in mind is that Michael's being asked to serve basically in two positions for a period of time. The salary that has been established for the CAO position is $88,000. That's what currently it is. The additional money is being paid to him to, in addition to being the CAO, to continue overseeing, purchasing, and all the other things that he does. So that extra money really is related to his duties as purchasing agent. So assuming that at some point in time, Michael is made Chief Administrative Officer only, not interim, but Chief Administrative Officer, then the position for Chief Administrative Officer should continue to be $88,000 unless y'all change it. The other money continues to be in the purchasing side for payment to, purchasing agent, because if Michael gave up the additional responsibilities that related to that $8,000, $10,000, or $12,000, then he shouldn't be paid for that unless something has changed with the CAO position or something has changed with your pay scales or anything else. But, so we're asking to predict what's going to happen in the future. We don't really know if, you could have an interim for a year. You could have an interim for 2 years. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the long-term plans is. I don't know, if you're able to find the right part-time position of somebody that maybe has retired. I have mowed my yard all I can do. I fished all I can do. I've hunted all I can do. I want to go back to work. And they've been in a sort of a purchasing capacity, and they come to work part-time to see if they like it. Michael has time to train them, so you may end up with a purchasing person, and you'll need that salary at that point in time to be able to pay them. So I think what's happening is you're trying to give yourself the most flexibility to move into the future. But, I understand your arguments, but but yes, if somebody took reduced responsibilities, then there would certainly be reasonable to have reduced pay.
So if in 2 years from now, some of us are not here and Mr. Richard's not here, what is it to stop Mr. Brewster? And I'm not accusing you of doing this or not implying that you would do it, but that's the lawyer in me. We have to look and says, no, my position is CAO, and if the new parish president's appointing him as CAO, this is my established position. There's nothing in here that says that he is interim chief administrative officer and the procurement officer.
That's where you come in.
Right, but that comes with ratification when we re-elected or come in as a new body.
Well,
That's where you come in.
I mean, we just did this.
Andy knows what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Tonight, we're not appointing him as both.
The initial resolution that I drafted had specifically mentioned both positions. And this is not as I drafted it, because I understand what you're saying. Look, it could also happen this way. Michael could serve in that position for a year and say, you know what, I don't like this as much as I like my purchasing. I want to be the full-time purchasing person. I mean, and so this way, you know, you got interim. And again, you can, with the president's permission, you could amend this to say, and the reason I say the president's commission, I'm going back to the Attorney General Opinion 12-0078, which was given to Romo back when this was an issue also. And you could amend this to say that he is interim chief administrative officer and purchasing, I guess that's the proper name. Yeah, purchasing.
You might have to amend the motion.
In fact, you know, it's in the resolution.
When did
Just
y'all
doesn't
get-
specify interim. It doesn't.
But how can,
Yeah, so look at actually in your packet, actually the resolution.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at.
Yeah, so be resolved that approve the parish president's appointment as interim chief administrative officer. It's further resolved that he recognized him will continue his employment in the capacity of purchasing officer. So what you're adopting clearly says he's going to serve in both positions.
But y'all should have got that Friday.
You know, and I guess you could have said that as for the CEO, it's 88,000. As for the continuation of purchasing, it's 12,000 or whatever that number is to get up to the number that y'all were talking about. So, but
And
I hope I
Mr.
answered.
Broussard, I'm gonna say, kind of reiterate what Mr. Napier said, and what, you know, our conversation was today. I know y'all are a team up there. I know y'all help each other. I know that you've done a lot more than purchasing. But I'm kind of right where Mr. Napier is. You know, we've asked a lot of people over the last couple of years to do a lot of jobs, and we haven't given them any more pay for taking on the extra work. And I can't slap every employee in the face. I can't do it.
Okay. Okay.
I yield, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Councilwoman Broussard yields back. I just want to state for the record, there was 92,500 reduced by Mr. Reshort, and I want to make sure that's okay with the motion by Councilman Paul Landry and second by Councilman Michael Landry. Was that okay with you two guys? Those two gentlemen concur with it. I do have a call for the question. Marty, if you want to be brief real quick.
Yeah.
Mr. Trahan's recognized.
I'm having a hard time dealing with this,
I'm over.
and I feel like Natalie and Brian. We asked a lot of other people to do other jobs. I could support the ADA. And Mike, it's nothing against you. Larry, it's nothing against you. I just feel that the people in the field are gonna really slap us back, and that's my reason.
Okay. Councilman Trahan yields back. There was a call for the question. I'll take the vote just for the call of the question. This vote is to stop debate, cease debate on the floor. That was issued by Councilman Landry. Is there a second on the call of the question? I'm sorry, he doesn't need a second for call of the question. Roll call on call of the question. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? We do have one against. Councilman Napier is against call for the question. Now we're going back to the main motion of 92,500 as the pay for a dual role ship as the interim, it doesn't say interim, but the interim chief of administrative officer, and of course, keeping his position as the purchasing agent. Roll call, members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
I have 3 nays. That includes Councilman Marty Trahan, Councilwoman Broussard, Councilman Napier. That's 9, right? 9 in favor, 3 against? That motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Broussard. Moving on to summary number 179, introduced by the Regional Planning Commission. Madam Clerk.
A resolution granting preliminary plat approval to a subdivision of property belonging to Raywood Freeman Sr. located at the intersection of Valerie Road and Seymour Miguez Road to create several lots located in District 3, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report PC 2021-016, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
Do I have a motion? Have a motion by Councilman Pollard, second by Councilman Michael Landry. Councilman Pollard?
Mr. Ray Freeman Sr. has got about 60 acres of property right there on Seymour Miguez Road near Valerie Road. He's going to be redividing it for his family members. He's got, I think, 9 children. They're all going to be inheriting some, or some of them already own a portion of it. They're restructuring their family property. They want to do it before grandfather passes away. They would actually ought to vote for it.
Councilman Pollard yields, waives. Councilman Michael Landry? Any discussion on this while Reed's here? Hearing none, roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries unanimously. Moving on to ordinances introduced for publication. Again, this is just for publication. Summary number 5140, introduced by the clerk of the council. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance adopting a statement of determination that reapportionment of Iberia Parish election district boundaries is necessary with the Census 2020 population count in order to rebalance the district populations to within plus or minus 5% of the ideal district population of 5,023 residents.
Summary number 5141, introduced by Regional Planning Commission. Madam Clerk.
An ordinance approving the reclassification request for the property of Troy Buteau located at 913 Hebrew Lane, with said parcel being zoned to I-1 Light Industrial located in District 10, subject to compliance with Planning Commission Staff Report ZC 2021-0008, all as reviewed and recommended by the Iberia Parish Regional Planning Commission.
Do you have a motion to adjourn? Have a motion by Councilwoman Broussard, second by Councilman Scott Rossini. Roll call members. Those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, hearing no opposition, the ayes have it, and the motion carries. The Iberia Parish Council meeting is now adjourned.